Some of you have seen this. We'll play this again just to give us a couple minutes before we go into a formal introduction. Most of you probably already saw this.
Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Mickle Edwards. I prefer to be simply called Mickle. If you're looking at this clip, you may be considering taking one of my courses. That could be on business communication, history, or management. For example, my course on managing cultural differences. So the purpose of this video is to simply help you make that decision. Do you want to take my course? Let me first say I earned my PhD at Columbia University in the city of New York. And New York City is a wonderful place to go to graduate school, and I cherish the memory. It's one of the world's great cities. I have also taught in a number of different schools in the United States, in China, and in Russia. I've been involved in education in a number of other countries. But for greater detail on all of those points, the best way to really learn about me is to go to my LinkedIn profile. That is basically a running record of my professional life. And if you look there, you'll see that not only have I taught in a number of different places, I've also worked in a number of different settings. What that means is that I have a wide range of experience that I like to draw on in my classes. There's something else that's, I think, very important. And that is the way I manage or coordinate the class. It's been my experience, both as a student and as an instructor, that if you have a course, you do a midterm exam and then a final. That's one kind of evaluation, but I don't think it's the best kind of evaluation. So typically, I don't use many of those kinds of exams. In fact, it's been years since I gave a final exam. What I like to do is give students many smaller tasks that they can complete in a short period of time. And then it is the accumulation of all of those smaller tasks that the evaluation is made upon. I would also say that we use, in my classes, we use social media. And the way we do this is that when you've done a small task, then you share it with me through the social media, but that social media also means that your classmates can see what you've produced and also comment and participate in learning about it. This creates what I call a class learning journal, which ends up by the end of a course to be a substantial body of information in the subject area. And when the class is over with, all the students have a copy of this learning journal, and they can use it at some later point in other courses or in their professional life years later. I found that this is not only a lot of fun, it's also very interesting, and it means that there is more than one instructor in the class. All of us bring things to the class that we can share and learn from. And by creating this learning journal through social media, we are able to focus on what students in the class want to learn rather than just simply a standard list of things that maybe the department or the instructor would like you to learn. So I would suggest that you consider the difference, because there's much more to be learned, not just from your instructor in a class, but also from your classmates, particularly if the classmates are from a number of different countries. They have perspectives that are worthwhile and unique. When you look at my profile on LinkedIn, there's contact information there, but you can probably also go to the department and get a copy of the syllabus. Take a look at the syllabus. If you can't get it that way, send me an email and I will try to answer any questions or give you any information that you may want to have. I have a policy of being very transparent and also very open. That is to say, if you become my student, I'm available to you. You will have my email, you will have my cell phone, and everything else, so that even though we may be across town, or in some cases even farther apart, we can still use all the technology that's available to us today to communicate, including Skype and anything else that might be of use to you. Thank you for listening, and if you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact me and I will be happy to answer them. I look forward to meeting you, and let's have a good class together.
Okay, please bear with me for just a moment if you're an international student. 我还要跟我们这里的中文学生们讲几句话，好吗？第一，我要跟你说，我特别高兴你们上这个课，这个为我们外国人就是给我们一个很大的机会，所以我一定要你们说出来，好吗？好。你很早以前我就是跟很多朋友们说我没有面子，我是外国人，我没有面子。我发现有的中国人的面子很大，就不方便，因为你的面子太大的话，你就觉得我不要说话，因为有人以为我说错。我要跟你说，我20岁就开始学习中文，我开始学习中文就是太晚了，所以我一辈子，今天我上车到复旦来的时候，我就是说错误了，没关系，我没有脸。所以我们都讲话的时候，你们中国人要想，你不一定要听到我说的话，你要想到我的意思，你要猜到我的意思。不管我们说西班牙话或者其他的话，我们都要这样子的，好吗？还有，我已经说了，可是我要再说，君，你有什么问题的话，你要问我们了，好吗？你不要怕没有用，好吗？所以有什么问题的话，一定要跟我们联系。还有，最后，中国站起来了，是不是？所以我也要你们站起来，我不要你随便来玩，我不要你随便做一半的课。我们现在在复旦，我特别喜欢复旦，因为我在这里的时候，我就像我的哪个大学，哥伦比亚大学，水平很高。你们已经到这里来的话，你应该好好的做得好，跟你们的同学做得好。Okay, it's enough Chinese for me now, but what I would really like you to do is to feel at home in this class and not be afraid to communicate. And for those of us that are still learning Chinese here, I made lots of mistakes there, just so you know. It's okay. It's all right. And what I would like you to do is talk to any of your classmates here, and basically I said the same thing in the video if you have any questions. Okay, let's get, before we go on with tonight's introduction, let's do some of the fun stuff. Who am I really? This video was kind of like too formal. Okay? I come from Seattle. I grew up in the United States, North America. I enjoy North America very much, but I also enjoy Asia. My family is here in Shanghai with me. I have a 7-year-old little daughter, and one of the main reasons I came was so that she didn't have to wait until she was 20 to begin learning Chinese. I like Chinese culture. I complain about Chinese culture. And I do the same about American culture, virtually everywhere else I've been. I have been very impressed with the introductions that I have read thus far. And I think we're going to have a very good class. But I'd like to talk about the pedagogy, the teaching method for this class a little bit with you, so that you can understand how we're going to make this class a success. It's not about me. I'm just one guy. This class is not going to be a class where you come and sleep in the back row and the instructor stands up in front and reads some notes that were written 10 years ago. It's not really very interesting. My goal for this class is that each one of you bring into this class what is special about you and what you want. So in a very special way, you are are my customers. And I want you to get what you want. So if you have a particular interest, you want to end up working for a particular company, you want to end up going to a particular country, or whatever it is, I would hope that you would take advantage of this class to get something out of it that's much bigger than just sitting there and taking notes. Okay? There's a lot more to be done. And it involves you personally. Okay? So what else can I tell you about myself? I love the outdoors. I love not to be in the city. But that's not always possible. All right? But I really do enjoy having a special relationship with the people that I get to learn with. And let there be no mistake. One of the reasons I'm in this room right now is that you are my teachers as well. I have been involved in coming to China since 1974. And from that time on, I've also visited a lot of other places. And I am still learning. Managing cultural differences, whether you're working in an embassy or in a company, or here in China, or somewhere in Europe or South America, is an ongoing process. And it was mentioned at least in one of the introductions that you put on LinkedIn so far, but it's really true. This is really only a beginning, a way to begin thinking about how can I do a better job. Okay? It's not an end. So I hope you take advantage of it and use your time here to the best of your ability so that you get something that you find useful. I'll also smile at you and say, whose idea was it to have a class on Friday night? I'd rather much prefer to be out somewhere with some friends in a bar having a cold beer. And maybe we'll at some point do that too. All right? Now, tonight is a kind of a special time, really, because we have business to take care of. There are some basic things to go through. And it isn't a whole lot of fun. It'll be more fun, I hope, as we move farther along in the class. But let's go through a couple of things. Let's first look at the syllabus. Okay? Go ahead and show the syllabus up. And you can go through it, and then we'll go through those other documents that are in there as well. Okay? Let me say that Jujun is our teaching assistant, but he is also a team member here. So I look at him as a leader in this classroom as well. He has a very special background. We're very lucky to have him. But I also want to tell you something else. He's here as a volunteer. Okay? So if you want to beat up on somebody, come beat up on me, not on Junjun. If you have a problem, come see me. If you need help, he's a good guy to help. But let's remember that when somebody's working for free, we should respect the fact that they didn't have to do it. Okay? Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for Professor Edwards to introduce me. And if you have any problems, you can also argue with me. That's okay. I'm okay with it. And I feel very glad to be in this class. Just like Ms. Raoul, I see that it's very.
I don't think it's working.
Okay, it's working.
There you go.
It's our culture diversified class. We have friends from France, Italy, US, UK, Sweden, Netherlands, and Korea, and also China as well, and many other places. And I think it's very cherishable opportunity for us to group together to have this chance to be friends, and it's also very important for all of us to share this cultural dynamics through our interactions. I think it's just like Professor was just saying, it's our class. We don't have to cover something. We can share the cross culture, even some sensitive issues. We can even make mistakes, and mistakes helps you to improve. And I think an open and one-hearted communication process is very important for us to have this class. And if you have any questions regarding this course or whatsoever, you can ask, you can come to talk with me, and if there's anything that I can help you, and I will be very great. I think I'm at your service. And first, I'd like to say this is a course description. As you will see, it's all about the importance of cultural differences in global context. And we try to help you and to be here as a coach for you to practice and improve your soft skills in cross-cultural communication. And well, the course requirements, as Ying said, being on time is very important. I see that some of you have just been waiting in this class tonight, and it's okay, but the next time I hope that you will be 5 minutes earlier. And assign your attendance sheet. It's very important. We don't have to records next time. You can sign this just for once. We cannot just re-sign it again. Okay? And the learning journal is one very important electronic journal that all of us will cooperate and create in LinkedIn.com. I think that there are already about 41 members, including Professor Edwards and me, and one member who's not in our class. I think 41 members in an online group now. For those of you who haven't been in this group, please start so as soon as possible. And for those of you who haven't been even a member of the LinkedIn, please first sign in and then upload your photo or even an avatar if you don't like to show yourself in front of others. And there is something else that's very important. I also send invitations to all of you who have connected with me. But if you haven't connected with me, I don't have any other ways to put you into the group. You can also request to join the online group. And all of the assignments, probably I think nearly all of it can be completed on the LinkedIn group. So first, I'd like to say that there's 4 parts of our assignment. The first part is about our evaluation of your performance on the class, both online and offline and in the class. You can contribute to the class by making speeches and communicate and with others, like making some helpful comments on others' speech in the class. And you can also help by present your research data that you collect from the internet by putting that on the LinkedIn. That will be generally taking out about 20% of the overall score. And one of the things that I as you can see here, self-introduction will be evaluated as well. I see that about 20 members of our class have already contributed to this online group in advance by making their detailed self-introduction. I think that's very great. And
let me interrupt for just a second, because I see a pen moving. You'll get a copy of this.
But I like to write.
Okay, please do.
Is that okay?
It's quite all right. But you'll get basically everything you see up here in class, all of class, you'll get copies of. So if you have a special thing you want to put down, that's great, but don't just copy something that you'll later get. All right.
all right, for those who haven't made your self-introductions, you can make it in the class now later on. But it's very important that you put that in an online LinkedIn discussion threads, because we can record that and track that and give some judgments based on the details of your self-introduction. For those of you who think that you have not made enough self-introduction, please do so as soon as possible, because that will gonna make your marks up. It's very great. And there's also
Something else to jump in there for just a second. I don't want to keep interrupting, but I probably will do this quite a bit. On LinkedIn, if you put up your statement, for example, of a paragraph on something, and I'm not talking about the introduction, you also need to go and make comments on 2 others that your classmates did. So let's say, for example, what are we looking at? I ask you to do a book review, right here. And you write a brief book review. We're not looking at a lot, no more than half a page or 3/4 of a page, no more than that. That's just enough, okay? Everybody will do one, but then after you do your book review, you'll go through all the others and look at them and find 2 that you either like or disagree with or agree with, and then also make a short comment about that so far as your perspective and managing cultural differences. The result of that will be that when we have one thread for book review, for example, or a business case study, it becomes a very long document with a lot of entries, like a blog or something of that kind. And there's a lot of good information there for you in areas that you probably won't have a chance to study, but will be interesting to this person, so they will write about it, and maybe this person will write something else. And the total activity that you involve yourself in for all of these things are how we will judge the grading process. So, just so that everybody's clear about that. Are there any questions? Everybody's always afraid at the beginning of the class. All right. You can't defend me. Yeah, please.
Sorry, this is about the book review. I know you're probably going to explain it anyway in a minute. But you know, for like the book review and the film review and everything, does it have to be something we read and watch like now? Or can it be something we've read and watched before?
You will find that when I answer these kinds of questions, I don't give good answers.
Okay.
And the reason is that, fine, if it's something that you've seen before, or there's a book that you read before that was perfect to fit that bill, use it. It's okay. Still write a good review, but go ahead and use it. It's all right. Yeah. There are some, well, maybe it's a little later. There are some dates, like, you know, if it's a book that's 10 years old, probably it's not the best choice. Okay? Go ahead. Any other questions? No?
You can ask any questions about the review tasks. So it probably takes about 35% of the whole score. That's very important.
So this part will be done on the LinkedIn.
Yeah. Everything will go into LinkedIn, and that's why it's so important to have your photograph there so that your classmates can get to know who's writing what. And at the end of the class, I will actually pull everything off of LinkedIn and give you the entire journal that the class made that you can take with you. Okay? That's a lot of material, lots of case studies that right now may not be interesting, but 2 years later when you find yourself in a new job or in another class, oh, I want to go back and look at that case study on McDonald's in India, for example, or whatever. Okay. Yes, please, back here and then up here. Go ahead.
Like, is there specific dates for this kind of reviews, or you just have to complete everything to the end of the lecture?
If you look up here, and I don't need to take it over, but there's a deadline for all of these. Okay? For example, it should be completed by, this particular one should be completed by the 2nd of December. Okay? So this one here, what's today? Okay, when does this one due? Okay, how many days do you have to get it done? Okay, you don't have a whole lot of time, and the point is I am not asking you to write a long report. That's not the point. Go out and find something that is useful to you. You may have already read, or you have wanted to read, and sit down and spend an hour with it, write something, and then put it on LinkedIn. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay? And one last point here. On this, for example, these dates, typically I will close it within 24 hours of that date. So if you haven't finished it and got it on LinkedIn by that time, then you missed the opportunity. Okay, question here? Or did you get an answer?
Same question.
Okay, very good. Any other questions on this process?
The book has to be something culture and business, or can it just culture in general?
If you follow, and this goes to everything, if you follow what it says here in good faith, I will not criticize you. Okay? And so what I'm saying is, it would be nice if it were something on managing cultural differences in business, but it may be something more general. And that's okay. It's all right. Because the world that we work in is not just narrowly defined as business, and it impacts business, so it's okay. Any other questions?
What about the length of reviews? Is it just as long as they're sensible, or?
What I like to see is about a half page to 3/4 of page, single space type. Now that's not, I have seen reviews that were much shorter that were very good, and I have had students that have made them a little bit longer. But it depends on their interest, okay? If you find a book and it really does something for you, you may write a little bit more, and that's okay. It does not have to be long, and it shouldn't take you a long time, okay? You don't have to spend hours crafting, no, okay? Just as important are your comments on your classmates' reviews. And there too, you just get on, you'll read them, think about it, and make some comments. It shouldn't take you a long time. It's not designed to do that. Yes?
So when is the deadline for commenting first? Does it have a deadline? Or is it say, yeah, because if we all post on the same day, you can't really all comment on two. There's only one when you post yours.
Right, if you post on one day, like I said, I will close these soon after, so I would make the comments within, say, 48 hours. So, for example, just to use this as an example, second book review, which is book review here number 4, I've said due date is December 5th, okay? So, by the 7th or 8th, I would get your comments in as well. And what that means is you need to sit down and look at what other people have written, find something that you like, and comment on it. Let me also say the nice thing about LinkedIn is that when you submit, it documents the moment it goes on LinkedIn. So there's no argument about whether or not you got it in late, or it's early, or that solves that problem for us. Okay? Anyone? Any other questions?
Brian, you can get this file.
The syllabus,
Yes.
you will receive a paper copy tonight, and we will send you electronic copy maybe tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. So that you'll have it. And that has pretty much everything. Go ahead.
We're down here, and there's two main parts left. One is the midterm examination, which will be taken in class. You can bring your laptop here and complete that on LinkedIn.
Does everybody have a laptop? I would hope so at this point in human existence at Fudan. Okay, so we can do that on your laptop here in class. I would not. This is not the Gaokao, okay? All right, it's not some big exam. This is something you'll come to class. We'll spend some time. I may have 2 questions, maybe 3. You just write something and you'll be done. Okay? A bigger thing. Go ahead and go to the class presentation and then the text requirements.
And the last part is about your presentation as a group. It will be put into different groups, and the group will present in front of all the class in the last week. And before that, your PowerPoint slides will be submitted to LinkedIn 1 week before the parallel. It's due December 27th, so this occupies about 30% of the whole score is your presentation. So is there any questions about these assignments?
Where are the groups? Are we going to do that now?
We will. Our hope is that we will be assigned in groups before the end of this class, so that you can begin working with your group right away. And we've got several hours tonight, so I expect to get that done. Okay, so that you can work with them. Go ahead.
Sure. Then is the required text, is managing cultural differences. I think probably Chinese students will have the textbook distributed, right? And no. So, but we copied 5 key chapters and some relevant materials for all of you. You will get that later on for each of you.
One more thing on the textbook. I am not the center of this class. I'm a coordinator to coordinate what you're doing. The textbook is not the sole source of information for this class. It's a good source.